Leafs fans have had enough. Is following one of the worst losses we have seen in the Core 4 era, and that is saying something. The Leafs fans are not only furious, they are extremely concerned, and this team is setting themselves up for something absolutely devastating. We have a bunch of updates to go over as it pertains to their next game tomorrow, and of course, following what we're gonna call a game for the ages, but in a bad way. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. I know the Leafs are, they're struggling right now, but if you're enjoying the daily videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Darius, we had a very engaged live stream last night, and we're gonna dive into the game a little bit, but focus on a bunch of quotes that came out and fans, Leafs fans, us, everybody, casuals, diehards. They've had enough, and they've had enough of the same old team effort, all these different things. And let's dive into some of the quotes here because we're going to start with Craig Berube. Then I'll get your input on the game. Stick with it. We're up 3-2 in the series. It's playoff hockey. There's a lot of ups and downs. We need composure. We have to stay poised and have to stay composed. Darius, what are your thoughts on yesterday's game, but also these quotes by Craig Berube? We have some Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. I'm on the more optimistic side, but I have also had enough with the lack of effort. We have a couple of screenshots here, but I'm quietly optimistic that Thursday, which is tomorrow, they'll bounce back and win Game 6. But I do like the message from Craig Berube here. You have to just say this. You can't panic too far. We know Sheldon Keefe gave some blasphemous quotes last year in the midst of their run, which was just a little bit disheartening. I like this one from Craig Berube. He hasn't been with the team for all their collapses, so he has a bit of a fresh slate here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is not something that he had to say. We all know coaches are going to say stuff like this, but he's right. He's absolutely right. You have to stay poised. You have to stay composed here. If they start to unravel and let the past kind of creep in here, they're going to start taking penalties and things are going to get away from them very, very quickly. So he's right. They absolutely have to do that. That being said, the game last night, absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. It was a disgrace to the crest. It was a disgrace to the fan base. Like the team absolutely needs to give an apology to the fan base at this point because that was absolutely disgusting to come out like that in a game where I know like it's a game of bounces sometimes, but you have to work for it like when it's not going your way in these games, and they never do that. They absolutely never do that, and they didn't do it again in Game 5. So we'll see if the bounces go their way in Game 6 or if they work for them, because they're going to have to do it one or the other, right, to win that game. So we'll see what comes in Game 6, but they were not working for their opportunities in Game 5 to be able to advance, and I think that again, that's the stuff that we've seen with the Core 4, and that's why the fan base is so upset, is because, they're not taking advantage of these opportunities. They become soft, and when the lights get bright, right, when, these big moments show up, and like we're going to talk about it later in the video as well, but the Core 4, they don't show up in games 4 to 7 of any series, right? Maybe a few of them. We know Nylander can. We've seen Matthews do it at times. The rest of them hasn't really happened. Tavares obviously has an overtime winner to win a series in the Core 4 era, right? But for the most part, they don't really show up after Game 4 of the series, right? And we're seeing it again after last night's game. You have to score at least one goal to win a game. So we'll see what Game 6 brings, but there's a lot not to like in Game 5 with the opportunity in front of them to win, to close out the series on home ice, being up 3-0. Now it's 3-2, and you're going back to Ottawa for Game 6.
Yeah, and you have some quotes from the Core 4. Austin Matthews and shorthanded goal. I just tried to find Mitchie up top. I thought we drew them in. I didn't see a guy there, and he picked it off. That's on me. I have to make a better play, and he does have to make a better play. He's obviously the captain of this team. He has a lot of playoff experience, just not deep playoff experience. At the same time, though, I don't like to hyper-analyze plays like this. I think it's the effort, the total effort, that's the bigger concern, not one bad pass by Austin Matthews or one bad individual play by any particular player. It's the collective of what we've seen over the past almost decade now, and you can see here kind of some of the optimistic sides. They still have an 86% chance to advance past the Senators. So if you want to put everything aside, which is impossible to do, but the ghost of the past, all these different things, objectively, they are in a fantastic spot. And if you would ask these fans, would you want to be up 3-2 heading into Game 6? Most of these fans would probably take it, but maybe not if you went up 3-0. You'd probably rather finish it in a different way. And I want to dive into that shorthanded. And this is one of the problems here. Look at where Nylander, I covered this in the stream yesterday. I brought it up, and I'm glad that the Jerry D, shout out to Jerry D for the screenshot there. Look where he ends up. And he did not hustle getting back at all. I don't know if he thought that they weren't, maybe he thought they were just going to, dump it and change. Maybe that was what he thought was going to happen. It was a shorthanded goal. This is the effort you can't have, and I'm sure he's going to get grilled or at least stern talking to regarding this and cleaning this up for next game. But this is an effort you can't have in a Game 5, but especially heading into tomorrow's game in a game 6 where, yeah, you do not want to. It may as well be a game 7 for everybody involved, because I don't know if my heart can take a game 7. I don't know if my heart can take a game 6 after what we just saw in that game, but that is the effort that I don't blame necessarily Austin Matthews as much. Like, I find this the bigger issue than the, Matthews making a bad pass. Bad passes happen. It's, you can change it, but they're harder. It is what it is. You didn't see him. William Nylander has to get back there and do a better job, and could have had a different game.
I agree with that. I mean, mistakes are going to happen. Austin Matthews, it's a terrible giveaway. It's a mistake, right? And those will happen. Even egregious ones, they're going to happen. This wasn't a mistake. You can back check. You know that they're going down on a 2-on-1. You can catch it. And we know you can catch them. This was early, I think, in the power play, or maybe halfway through.
Yeah.
And you're not even skating that hard when you're on the power play anyway. Maybe you're battling for the puck here and there. But we know you can back check, get back and back check. That's not a mistake. Mistakes happen, but you can outwork certain things like that, and they haven't. And they've never really done that when it counts to close out series, and that's been a problem for this team. And obviously, that's why the fan base feels this way. So that was absolutely egregious. They have to clean that up. The whole series to this point, up until Game 5, I really thought that all 4 lines were rolling and playing with a purpose. I don't think that was the case in Game 5. They got away. Almost every single line except for the 4th line got completely away from that. I thought the defense was actually really good in this game as well. A couple of the guys unnoticeable. Like, I didn't even notice Benoit tonight, whereas he was very noticeable in the first 3 games, for example. But they have to play better, and they have to get rolling. They have to get back to doing what they were doing, playing good and responsible in all 3 zones. They got away from that. It was very lazy tonight, and they weren't. Yes, the bounces aren't going your way. Good teams make it happen. Look at the Edmonton Oilers, right? Especially like Connor McDavid, these guys that just drive play. They want to win. They make it so they win. That's the point. The Leafs do not make it so they can win, right? Bounces aren't going your way. Outwork that. Get it to the front of the net. Get bodies in front of the net. They don't really do that stuff. So they have to get back to doing that in Game 6, because I don't know if they know this. It doesn't get any easier from here on out.
Nope. They are 0-12 in potential series clinchers from 2018. The one being against Tampa Bay Lightning. 2 shutout losses. The power play is 1 for 31, and I believe 0 for their last 30 in series clinchers, which is absurd, because they started off 1 for 1 and then decided to go 0 for 30. And whether or not that is going to continue tomorrow is going to be the biggest question mark. And again, it's going to be a big conversation point. And Brady Tkachuk, what he anticipates from Hokier and Ottawa on Thursday, I expect pure insanity. The fact that you mentioned the stream, Brady Tkachuk said, "We'll see you guys on Thursday," back when they won Game 4. And now they absolutely got pumped. The Leafs, that is sickening. Let's dive into a couple quotes here before I wrap up. So Craig Berube, we're up 3-1 in the series. Other Leafs now looking ahead to Game 6. We've been a great road team all year, so it is good there. Chris Tanev, we're up 3-2 in the series. I think we're fine. And I don't think our group has really felt pressure from the beginning of the series, which is a bit of a crazy quote from Travis Green. And I got to give credit to the Senators. I really don't like the Senators team or their coaches. It is what it is. But what do you? I want to get your thought. What are your thoughts on this quote? And let us know down below what your guys' thoughts are on this quote. I think it's a bit. I understand why he's saying it. However, you're still down 3-2. Like, let's settle down a little bit there. But at the same time, I understand why he's saying this, and he loves making some interesting quotes, and he also loves calling for 5-minute majors when they shouldn't be remotely even considered. But I'll leave that to myself. What are your thoughts on that quote?
Travis Green loves to mix it up and poke the bear sometimes. And I appreciate that, because he's a former Leaf, scored some big goals for the Leafs in the playoffs back 20 years ago against the Senators as well, right? So can appreciate that. And I know what he's trying to say with this, where it's like, obviously the Leafs have more pressure. They're expected to go further in the playoffs. If the Senators don't make it past the first round, it was kind of expected, right? I understand that, but you can't tell me if you're down, in a series and you're about to be eliminated, that there's no pressure on the team, right? Obviously, there's pressure to win. You still want to win the series. So I understand what he's trying to say, but to come out and say some of the things he has in this series has been kind of insane. He's going to look amazing if the Senators end up coming back and beating the Leafs. But, if they do end up losing, it's a weird mindset to have, I think. But I do understand what he's trying to say through this.
Yeah, and credit to him. I mean, they already got farther than I thought they would after some of his ridiculous comments. But shout out to him, though, for his time with the Leafs. But I don't know, one of the more frustrating coaches to watch from the opposition side, because they tend to pan to him after every single penalty. But it is what it is. They didn't call a 5-minute major on Morgan Riley. I'm still salty about the pan to Travis Green there. But I'll digress. They won the game. The Leafs need to come out tomorrow, and of course we'll have a video later today. It's going to be a very busy day at practice today, so we're going to keep you up to date with all the news there. Expect some lineup changes, some more quotes, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's hope Let's hope we can have a stream tomorrow regarding a clinching game. We'll see you guys in the video later.